My stepsister is telling my whole family my boyfriend got her pregnant to make herself feel better, so I asked for paternity test and now she's faking a mental illness to cover her deception. I met my boyfriend Tim 3.5 years ago. We hit it off, he was great and sweet and we get along perfectly. Until I introduced him to my family. My mother had gotten remarried a few months earlier. I like my stepdad and we get along fine. My stepsister Sarah and we're friendly but not besties by any means. She is kind of an intense party girl and being in our 20s we only saw each other at family events. So I introduced him to my family, at which point we learned that Sarah used to date Tim when they were 20. It was only a few months and Tim said they broke up because she made out with another guy at a nightclub while drunk. Sarah got upset and started saying I had to break up with him because it was weird. She called Tim her sloppy seconds and tried to get our parents to force us to break up. I said no. It had been years since they'd been together and I didn't even know Sarah when she was dating Tim. I got pretty upset because my family jumped on the bandwagon of saying we should break up. For the past few years at any family gathering Sarah would mention how they used to date and act like I stole her boyfriend and has been selling that narrative to my family and friends. It became obvious that she was jealous, but I liked Tim so we just ignored it and kept dating. So now a few years later Tim and I live together and we've been talking about marriage and stuff, and I recently had a conversation with my mom about how I thought Tim was going to propose because he's not exactly subtle, and we've talked about this for a while. At which point Sarah, who just moved back in without parents, walked in. She started asking a bunch of invasive questions about our relationship and being weird. Sarah is 4 months pregnant. The father, she said, was some deadbeat guy she'd hooked up with who wants nothing to do with her, but she wants to keep the baby. I've been making an effort taking her to appointments and offering to help babysit and trying to be excited for her. Until a week ago, when my stepdad sent me a long text saying how I can't marry Tim because he is the real father of Sarah's baby. I was immediately very upset and confronted Tim, who was completely shocked and said Sarah was lying. He said there's no way and he didn't cheat on me and he would gladly have a paternity test to prove that. Unsure, I asked Sarah for more details about when they slept together, which she says happened a few times. She was shaky and went back and forth on details. The dates and times don't match up with what I can remember of what Tim and I have been doing. She also said she came to our house to see him, but since COVID I've been working from home, so I can't imagine that they managed that. I'm pretty sure now that she's lying to get us to break up because she's still jealous, but now my family are involved and have been sending me hateful messages saying I need to break up with Tim and let him be with Sarah. She's telling everyone he's in love with her and I'm keeping him from her. She has no proof and he strictly denied everything. I texted her asking for proof of any of this happening and she sent me some fake Photoshop screenshots, that I can tell are fake, where she's put Tim's name over a friend's number and pretended he was messaging her. I checked in the friend all but admitted it to me and tried to laugh it off. She badly photoshopped the timestamps. I actually don't know what to do now. I believe Tim and we are still together, but this has kind of thrown a wedge in everything. Sarah has poisoned my relationship with our parents and my family. I feel sick to my stomach and Sarah is now saying she won't give me a paternity test. For now I've cut everyone off except Tim, but I don't know what to do now. Update. I spoke to my parents. Tim offered to do a paternity test. We gave them an ultimatum to believe me or have me out of their lives. Initially my parents backed Sarah, mostly because she was pregnant and had nobody else. The deadbeat who knocked Sarah up reached out to me privately because he had been sure that he fathered Sarah's baby, as they'd been hooking up at the time and he wasn't sure what was going on. Sarah told him she was having the pregnancy terminated apparently. Deadbeat reached out to my parents and said he wanted to fully support the child and Sarah. Turns out he's a plumber with a very good income and wants to be a dad to his kid, but he doesn't want to be with Sarah at all. Sarah still won't admit to lying about the affair, but after realizing people weren't falling for it, she switched to faking a mental illness to cover for her deception. I do believe she is mentally unwell, just not in the way she tells it. I have also figured out what a master manipulator she is. She fed my parents tidbits and small lies to make her giant lie seem more credible, tried to slowly turn them against me so they more easily believed Tim was in love with Sarah. Things are still strained with my family, but I feel I'm making progress and Sarah has moved on to getting attention for being pregnant/sick, so she's not obsessing over Tim anymore. Though I refuse to be around her. Baby was born today. I pray for that little guy. It's going to be a long and difficult life with that mother. My cousin went to visit and sent me a photo of the birth certificate. Father is listed as deadbeat guy. And finally Tim did propose, but we're planning a long engagement. Sarah is not invited to the wedding.